Good. Good evening and welcome to the Town of Cicero Planning Board meeting. Would you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Snyder, would you lead us off, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First order of business is the approval of the November 1st meeting minutes. Do we have any questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve is printed.
Mr. Duval,
Yes.
Mr. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Bloss,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Minutes have been approved. I don't know.
I'll second that.
Nobody?
Nobody's.
My mind's already going ahead. Now we'll open the meeting to public comment. Is there anybody here that would like to address the board on any active application? Given nobody's approach, we'll close the public input and move on to the first and last agenda item. This is for a sketch plan review. Group 1 development is a proposed residential townhouse development at 8443 Wayfarer Drive.
Good evening, Tim Coyer, I am the land surveying.
Thank you.
We were here back in February on this project, getting a zone change to RM apartments. A multi-family, I'm sorry, multi-family. My original plan said townhouse. Test. So again, this is located at the corner of South Bay and Wayfair Drive. This is the only vacant lot that left over of the original Joseph's Landing subdivision. We were in here for a zone change for these townhouse units that we're looking to construct here on the property. We did get the zone change, and this is now we're here for site plan. So basically it's going to be one private drive into the site and roughly five townhouse structures with 3 units per unit or per structure. Basically everything's private as far as utilities, everything's coming off of Wayfair. It's pretty straightforward. I handed out some of the architecturals that they're going to use as far as what the building's going to look like. Most of them all single garage units. They have long enough driveways for stacking, and we try. And one change that I did do is I changed this turnaround. I moved it over here on the plans that you have so that it meets DOT standards for a turnaround for a fire apparatus. Steve mentioned that, and I made sure I changed that on the newest plans that you guys have. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward.
Thank you. We'll open up to questions. Mr. Duval.
Is there a new road in between?
This is a private drive.
Private drive, okay. Okay. So 15 units altogether? What's the plan for drainage for this?
Most everything. So and Mark will probably talk more about this, but I believe there's an overall SWIP for the overall subdivision for Joseph. Everything basically had to drain towards Wayfair and the existing storm sewer that are in place on Wayfair. So basically everything either sheets drains to Wayfair, or there's an existing swale in the back that I have everything graded to this catch basin. There's a grading plan. I think it was like sheet 3 of our set.
And what's the size of each unit, square footage wise?
Oh, it's roughly 1,000 square feet, I believe. I'll double check what that is and get that to you.
And a plan as far as landscaping and that type of thing?
So on again, you can see I have some of the landscaping shown in here. Here's some street trees coming around the site and various locations. I tried to be a little bit random with the street trees so they didn't look so uniform. But yes, I do have a landscaping plan for the site.
Okay. Lighting?
All residential lighting. I made sure I put a note on there that it's like a typical residential structure. Like they'll have outside lights, but again, just residential fixtures, no commercial fixtures.
Okay, that's all I got for now.
Thank you, Jim. Mr. Snyder.
No street lights?
No street lights proposed. If I can talk to the developer, see if he wants to put some street lights in.
Because I don't think we've had a development in the town that hasn't ended up coming back and putting street lights in.
Okay.
So,
This one doesn't.
who's the target
renter for this development?
Market rate, these are basically, people like, I rent something very similar to this, and this is something that, young professionals are usually renting out these days.
So it's not senior housing.
It's not specifically senior housing, no.
And it would never be because you got all the bedrooms on the second floor. So
Oh,
that,
yes.
that just wouldn't fly. So as long as we don't try to sell these as, senior apartments.
Nope.
We have 30 parking spaces said on the, document. What that turns out to be, as near as I can tell, is you have a long driveway. You have 2 spots, 2 cars could park on that driveway. So there's 6 per building. So that's how we get to 30, because there are no, you can't count off street or anything like that.
Right.
So,
You have. So,
so my wife parks in the garage.
Yep.
I park in the driveway.
Yep.
I gotta get up and move my car before she can get hers out of the garage and go to work.
correct.
I mean, we've had problems where we count parking spots that are in front of a garage. We had that problem with Lasso or whoever that is.
I have room to add parking spaces along the road and out in like this area and in this area and over here. I can add parking spaces, and I could even make the driveways a little wider. That's not necessarily a problem. I was actually trying to get as much green space and less pavement as possible, but if the board thinks there's more parking that's necessary, we'll add more parking.
I would, from my standpoint, I would suggest that the driveway, either at the road or at the house is double wide. So you can in fact park a car and have the one be in the garage, but then I don't have to go out and move a car so someone get out of the garage,
Understood.
okay? I guess that's all I got for now.
Thank you, Mr.
On
Bloss.
On that subject, just
Sure, go ahead.
before we move on. So because there's 3-bedroom units, you have 3 parking spaces.
Okay.
Per dwelling unit.
What was that?
You need 3 parking spaces
Right.
for each unit because there's 3 bedrooms.
And not the garage.
Right.
The garage doesn't count as one.
That has not counted.
Correct, Mark?
because
Oh,
it's Not accessible. Well, it's 2 bedrooms per every dwelling unit up to 2 bedrooms. Once there's 3 or more bedrooms, it requires 3 parking spaces. That was
Ah.
changed in 2020.
Hmm.
I'm just looking at the floor plans here.
Yes.
Looks like
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
okay. I was counting the garage as a space, so nope, I'll make sure I address that.
And we'll double check that, but I don't
Yep.
think we were.
Mark, I'm sorry, I had one other question. I was concerned about the number of units that we have. We have 5, where it means, as near as I can tell, the buildings are like 15 or 20 feet apart.
Yes, I think I tried to get 15 to 20 feet between each building, correct?
So what happens if it was a requirement that there can only be 4
That there can only be 4.
buildings?
Say that again?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying they're 20 feet or less apart. So, but if you had 3 on that side rather than 4, you'd probably have enough space where you could have a heck of a lot more than 15 feet between buildings. I mean, you look out the window, and granted, the guy in the middle doesn't have any windows on the side, but the ones at either end have windows, and your neighbors are pretty close.
So you want me to try to expand the distance between the buildings? That's what
Yeah, but I don't see how you do that unless you,
I mean, I can slide this building over here more and add space, and I can slide this building up a little bit and add space. So typically I was kind of going with like the typical side yard setback, like with Cicero. In some places there's 6.5, 7 feet. So in theory, you could have 2 structures that are that close apart, and fire code is typically 10 feet. So typically when we try to have two buildings next to each other, we try to stay 15 to 20. That's somewhat standard as far as when we do a design. I can try to increase the space and look at that. I do have a little room to slide things.
Well, okay, you can try that, but I'm not sure that would satisfy me if.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mark.
Mr. Bloss.
The main idea behind these is for rental. None of them are gonna be for sale.
Correct. All rental.
Hmm.
No further questions.
Tim, we've got the one that backs up to Wayfair and South Bay.
Yes.
I would like to have the elevations of the back provided
Oh,
for us, so we can take a look at that. And maybe get a little bit more creative on that corner landscaping wise.
Oh, landscaping wise. Okay.
Mr. Procopio?
I would be remiss if I didn't mention, our town engineer mentioned a sidewalk from along South Bay Road, since all those improvements are going on with South Bay Road and the sidewalk extensions on the south side of the road, so that these folks could at some point have a walkability and a crosswalk over to Circle K and the sidewalks on the other side of the road.
Okay.
Know what the board thinks about that.
You said the engineer mentioned it?
Yeah, town engineer, yeah.
Him?
No, town engineer.
Oh, town engineer,
Hmm.
town board engineer.
Yeah.
It lead to nothing, right?
Hmm.
I don't know. Seems like we put sidewalks in everywhere and nobody uses them. Mark, any thoughts?
Not really. I mean, there isn't much in the way of a sidewalk network in this area at this time that hasn't prevented us from asking that sidewalks be put in along Route 31 and Route 11. And, you know, we've seen Route 11 get completed by the state. You know, the town undertook a project on Route 31 a while back, and, you know, we did connect to a number of the sidewalks that, you know, were constructed over a period of time. So, you know, as you put them in, they continue to develop. So that's, you know, one reason to consider it. But, you know, again, at this point, there's really not much in the way of sidewalks in this area. But again, we've tried to promote walkability, you know, through some of the major corridors, and South Bay is certainly a major corridor. But again, I'd leave it up to the board to make a decision as to how you feel about that.
Thoughts? Any thoughts on sidewalks?
No.
I live right next door and I walk my dog down South Bay, the side roads are pretty wide there. You know what I mean? It's pretty good walkability now. I don't know. No.
Since it's a dead end road, I think you're gonna find that, you know, you can, they'll be able to walk their dogs and whatnot in that neighborhood. To have the kids will be out on the street.
Well, she's asking for it along the South Bay Road frontage.
Right, to walk up the Circle K. And people do it. I see them do it, but
Is there anything there now? There's no sidewalk now,
No.
right?
no.
There's sidewalks on the south side. Is it south side?
At 31 and
At
Circle K.
31 and Circle K, and then
Yeah.
they're going to be connected now further east with the road improvement project that's happening
So the thought is maybe to have sidewalks coming from
to
this
that
development.
intersection for potential, you know, crosswalk and access over there. Okay.
Yeah, I can see where it makes some sense. I don't know.
Are we suggesting to have this developer pay for sidewalks to 31?
No.
I hope not. I mean,
Along their
that-
frontage, like
just
you've done
along
with
their
other
frontage.
projects.
I mean, possible suggestion is, have them I'll talk to the applicant and maybe like have some type of commitment in the future if sidewalks get up there, then they put the sidewalks in at that site. something along those lines. But I have no, I'll talk to the applicant about their thoughts on sidewalks.
Okay. Mr. Jermaine?
All set.
Parrish, I know you got a review.
Yeah, I got a review, but I guess I just say, Mark, I mean, you've seen kind of the building standards and such that we're working on. And no problem. I guess I just comment that the layout of this site doesn't really promote any sort of connection to the adjacent roads. I mean, the rest of the road on Wayfarer, you've got the front yards, the front of the houses facing, you know, facing the road. So there's a connection there, right? Yeah, this doesn't provide that. What you're looking at is the rear and the side of these houses. It doesn't, you know, it's kind of a haphazard layout on the parcel that is, again, just doesn't really integrate with any of the surrounding areas.
I agree with you. I was getting that feel. In fact, I mentioned it the first time you were here with the backyards going, facing the street. And I drove around, I see a bunch of it, but you're right, we are looking at enhancing what we're doing. So I think it's a very good point. I think it's a very good point.
So. So and I'm just trying to understand, and again, I haven't seen the standards that we're talking about. You're more concerned about the face, the Wayfair, this structure here not facing out is, I guess that's my question.
Well, none of them do, right?
No.
I mean, you know, it's all self-contained within the site.
Yep.
The site doesn't relate to anything around it.
Okay.
I'm not sure I have a good solution for you, other than,
Right, that's what I'm.
you know, I don't know if you could get two of the units to face Wayfarer and do something to make the rear of the houses look more like the
Okay.
front of a house.
Right.
You know, and then do something with the other three units, but Steve and I kind of looked at this and played around a bit, and I'm not sure we really came up with any good solutions, but you know, I'm just pointing out to the board that, you know, it just doesn't relate to the surrounding area.
Yeah, they set way back, there's no backyards.
Okay, let me think about that.
And so that's just kind of a high level layout issue. Obviously we'll do a detailed review. I guess, Tim, I'll maybe hold off on doing that if you want to have a chance to look at some of the other, or to look at that issue.
Okay.
And see if there's something you could do to change that a bit. But if you get to a point where you say, we're going with this, let me know and I'll do the review. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Tim, anything else from you at this point?
Oh, thank you very much for the time, though.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you.
That concludes our agenda items. Any discussion or comments from the planning board team?